In the kingdom of Aravale, where the practice of alchemy had been outlawed for centuries, Ezra Dorian toiled in secret. Hidden away in his underground laboratory, the Last Alchemist of Aravale pored over ancient tomes and bubbling concoctions, seeking the key to unlocking the forgotten magic that once thrived in the land. The flickering candlelight cast eerie shadows on the stone walls, as if the ghosts of long-dead alchemists were watching over him, guiding his every move. Ezra's apprentice, Lysandra, entered the laboratory, her arms laden with freshly gathered herbs and rare ingredients. She had been with him for years, learning the forbidden art and sharing in his dream of restoring alchemy to its rightful place. Together, they worked tirelessly, experimenting with new formulas and testing the limits of their knowledge, always aware of the grave consequences should their activities be discovered by the authorities. The kingdom of Aravale had not always been a land of darkness and despair. Once it had been a prosperous realm, where alchemy and magic were celebrated as gifts from the gods. But those days were long gone, lost to the annals of history and the machinations of a power-hungry king. Now, under the rule of Theron Valeris, the people suffered, their crops withering in the fields and their livestock falling prey to strange, wasting illnesses. Whispers of an ancient curse hung in the air, a curse that only the forbidden arts could hope to break. As Ezra and Lysandra delved deeper into their alchemical studies, they began to uncover clues to the kingdom's past. Hidden within the pages of crumbling manuscripts and encoded in the symbols etched on ancient artifacts, they found references to a creature of immense power, a being that had once been revered as a deity but had long since faded into myth. The creature was said to hold the key to restoring balance to the land, but summoning it would require a sacrifice, a price that Ezra and Lysandra knew they might have to pay. Unbeknownst to the alchemists, their actions had not gone unnoticed. In the royal palace, King Theron Valeris' advisor, Cassius Rhae, had been monitoring the whispers of forbidden practices, determined to stamp out any remnants of the old ways. Cassius had his own plans for Aravale, plans that required the complete eradication of alchemy and those who practiced it. As he set his sights on Ezra and Lysandra, the stage was set for a confrontation that would determine the fate of the kingdom and the future of magic itself. As Ezra and Lysandra worked tirelessly to decipher the ancient texts, a strange energy began to emanate from the depths of their laboratory. It was a pulsing, almost living force that seemed to grow stronger with each passing day. The alchemists knew they were close to a breakthrough, but the closer they got, the more they felt the weight of the dangers that surrounded them. They could sense the eyes of the kingdom upon them, watching and waiting for any sign of their forbidden practices. One night, as the moon hung low in the sky, Lysandra discovered a cryptic passage in an old leather-bound tome. It spoke of a ritual, a way to summon the ancient creature that held the key to Aravale's salvation. The ritual required a rare and powerful substance, an elixir that could only be created through the most advanced alchemical techniques. Ezra and Lysandra knew they had to attempt it no matter the cost. In the palace, Cassius Rhae's suspicions grew with each passing day. He had his spies scouring the kingdom for any sign of the alchemists, but they always seemed to be one step ahead. Cassius knew that time was running out. If he didn't find and eliminate Ezra and Lysandra soon, they might succeed in their quest to restore alchemy to Aravale, and that was something he could not allow. He decided to take matters into his own hands and set out to hunt down the alchemists himself. As Ezra and Lysandra prepared for the summoning ritual, they could feel the ancient creature stirring in the depths of the earth, its power echoing through their very bones. They knew they were walking a razor's edge, balancing on the precipice between salvation and destruction. One misstep, and they could unleash a force that would consume not only them, but the entire kingdom. And yet, they pressed on, driven by the knowledge that they were Aravale's last hope. On the night of the ritual, the air crackled with energy, and the shadows seemed to come alive. Ezra and Lysandra stood at the center of a complex array of alchemical symbols and candles, their voices rising in an ancient incantation. As they spoke the final words, a blinding light filled the laboratory, and a presence that had not been felt in centuries surged into the room. The creature was here, and with it, the fate of Aravale hung in the balance. The ancient creature, Melusine, emerged from the blinding light, her form both terrifying and awe-inspiring. She was a being of immense power, with eyes that glowed like molten gold and scales that shimmered like precious gems. Ezra and Lysandra bowed before her, their hearts pounding in their chests as they realized the magnitude of what they had done. They had summoned a creature of legend, a being that could either save Aravale or destroy it utterly. Melusine spoke, her voice echoing through the chamber like the whispers of 1,000 ages. She told the alchemists of the curse that had befallen Aravale, a curse born of greed and the misuse of power. The kingdom had turned its back on the old ways, on the balance of magic and nature, and now it was paying the price. But there was still hope, a way to break the curse and restore Aravale to its former glory. It would require a sacrifice, a willing soul to bear the burden of the curse and become the vessel for Melusine's power. Ezra and Lysandra listened intently, their minds racing with the implications of Melusine's words. They knew that the sacrifice would be a heavy one, and that whoever bore the curse would be forever changed. But they also knew that it was the only way to save their kingdom. Without hesitation, Ezra stepped forward, ready to offer himself as the vessel. But Lysandra stopped him, her hand on his arm. She knew that Ezra was the only one who could guide Aravale back to the path of alchemy, and that she was the one who must make the sacrifice. As Lysandra prepared herself for the ritual, Cassius Rhae burst into the laboratory, his sword drawn and his eyes blazing with fury. He had finally tracked down the alchemists, and he was determined to put an end to their forbidden practices once and for all. But as he laid eyes on Melusine, he faltered, his resolve crumbling in the face of her ancient power. Melusine turned to him, her gaze piercing his very soul, and spoke of the true nature of power and the price of ambition. In that moment, Cassius realized the folly of his actions and the true strength that lay in the balance of magic and nature. He lowered his sword, humbled and ashamed, and watched as Lysandra stepped forward to accept the curse. As Melusine's power flowed into her, Lysandra was transformed, her body becoming a living conduit for the ancient magic that would save Aravale. And with that, the curse was broken and the kingdom was set on the path to healing. In the aftermath of the ritual, Ezra and Cassius worked together to help Lysandra adapt to her new role as the vessel of Melusine's power. It was a difficult and painful process, as Lysandra struggled to control the immense magic that now coursed through her veins. But with Ezra's alchemical knowledge and Cassius's newfound understanding of the balance of power, they were able to guide her through the transition, helping her to harness her abilities for the good of Aravale. As word of the alchemist's deeds spread throughout the kingdom, the people of Aravale began to see the value of the old ways once more. They came to Ezra and Lysandra, seeking their guidance and wisdom, and slowly but surely the practice of alchemy began to flourish once again. The fields grew lush and green, the livestock healthy and strong, and the people of Aravale knew a prosperity they had not seen in generations. But the path to true healing was not an easy one. There were still those who feared the power of alchemy, who clung to the old ways of fear and persecution. And there were those who sought to use Lysandra's power for their own gain, seeing her as a weapon to be wielded rather than a savior to be revered. Ezra and Cassius worked tirelessly to protect her, to ensure that the power she now held was used only for the good of the kingdom. As the years passed, Lysandra grew into her role as the vessel of Melusine's power, becoming a wise and benevolent leader for the people of Aravale. Under her guidance, the kingdom thrived, and the balance of magic and nature was maintained. Ezra continued his alchemical studies, pushing the boundaries of what was possible and discovering new ways to harness the power of the elements for the betterment of all. And though the road ahead was long and the challenges many, Ezra and Lysandra knew that they had set Aravale on the path to a brighter future. They had proven that alchemy was not a force to be feared, but a tool to be used for the greater good. And as long as they remained true to the balance of magic and nature, they knew that Aravale would endure, a beacon of hope and light in a world too often consumed by darkness. Years turned into decades, and the kingdom of Aravale flourished under the guidance of Lysandra and the alchemists. The once forbidden art became a celebrated part of Aravale's culture, with young apprentices flocking to study under Ezra and Lysandra's tutelage. The kingdom became known throughout the land as a centre of learning and innovation, a place where the old ways and the new coexisted in harmony. But even as Aravale prospered, Ezra knew that their work was not yet done. He continued to delve into the deepest mysteries of alchemy, seeking new ways to harness the power of the elements and push the boundaries of what was possible. And as he did so, he began to uncover hints of an even greater threat looming on the horizon, a darkness that threatened to engulf not just Aravale, but the entire world. Ezra brought his concerns to Lysandra and Cassius, and together they began to prepare for the coming storm. They gathered their most trusted apprentices and allies, forging a secret society dedicated to protecting the kingdom and preserving the knowledge of alchemy for generations to come. And as the darkness grew closer, they worked tirelessly to create new elixirs and potions, each one a masterpiece of alchemical craftsmanship designed to counter the coming threat. The final battle, when it came, was a thing of legend. The skies darkened and the earth trembled as the forces of darkness descended upon Aravale. But Lysandra and the alchemists were ready, armed with their potions and their knowledge and the power of Melusine herself. The battle raged for days, the very fabric of reality twisting and warping under the onslaught of alchemical energy. And in the end, it was Lysandra who struck the final blow, using the full might of her power to banish the darkness back to the abyss from whence it came. In the aftermath of the battle, the people of Aravale came to understand the true nature of the gift they had been given. Alchemy was not just a tool for prosperity and growth, but a weapon to be wielded in defense of the kingdom and all that was good and true. And as the kingdom rebuilt and healed, the legacy of Ezra, Lysandra, and the alchemists lived on, a testament to the power of knowledge, the strength of the human spirit, and the enduring magic of hope. And though the darkness might return as it always did, Aravale would be ready, guided by the wisdom of the alchemists and the eternal light of the ancient power they had unleashed.